Hi, I want to show you how to make bread in a Dutch oven today. It's really quite simple, throwing all the ingredients together. The hard part is waiting for it to rise. So we'll make our dough, we'll let it rest for a couple of hours. We knead it a little bit, then we let it rest again for a couple of hours. Then it's going in this beautiful 6-quart Dutch oven in a hot oven, and it only takes 25 minutes to bake. So my best tip for you is to plan ahead and know if you want to have fresh bread today, start in the morning, get everything together, let your bread do its resting while you do other things, and it'll be ready to bake when you want to have it fresh for dinner tonight. Let's get started. We need 4 cups of all-purpose flour going into a big mixing bowl. And we're using instant dry yeast. So the difference between instant yeast and dry active yeast is the dry active yeast has to be blended into the water to activate it. This one you can add to flour and the ingredients and it will activate. It may take a little bit longer. We're gonna feed the yeast with a tiny bit of sugar. There's a half a teaspoon of sugar going in there. We are gonna add some rosemary to give our bread some flavor. So I'm throwing in a good heaping teaspoon of rosemary and herb seasoning. If you have fresh rosemary, go ahead and use that. We're gonna add some Parmesan cheese to our flour mixture, and a little bit of salt, and 1.5 cups of hot water. You have to take the temperature of your water and make sure your warm water is between 120 and 140 degrees. So ideally, you would like it at 130 degrees. What I did was I put my kettle on and I filled my measure-all cup 3/4 of a cup of the water from the kettle, and then topped it up with some warm tap water until I got to the desired temperature, because the temperature of this is important for the yeast activation. So there's a great tip for you. We're gonna give this a big mix in our mixing bowl. And then we're gonna turn it out onto our cutting board or a pastry mat and knead it a few times and put it back to bed for a couple of hours. Get all of the dry mixed into the bread, lightly floured surface. It smells really good. There's our dough. Everything is well incorporated. We're gonna put it back into the mixing bowl that it was mixed in and brush it with a little bit of olive oil and tuck it in and put it to bed for 2 hours. Good night. I'll be back. 2 hours has gone by. Let's check it. Look at that. It's doubled in size. We are going to turn it out onto a lightly floured surface again. And fold it into itself just a few times. And it's got to sit again. This is a labor of love. This time it's going on a piece of parchment paper. And back into the bowl. Brushed with oil again. And it goes back to bed for 2 more hours. I'll be back. Yay, it's finally time to get this into the oven. Now I'm excited. So there's our bread that has doubled in size twice now. We're gonna brush some olive oil on top of the bread. I can smell the rosemary coming through and the Parmesan. And we're gonna sprinkle just a little bit more rosemary seasoning on top to give it a little bit more flavor. Take a sharp knife and cut an X in the top. If you have scissors, you can do this as well. Now, this cast iron Dutch oven has been preheating in a 450-degree oven. So it is very hot. And I am going to lift the bread in the parchment paper, put it into the Dutch oven carefully, put the lid on it to make it like its own roasting pan, and this is going back in the oven just for 25 minutes, and we're gonna have beautiful artisan looking bread. I can't wait to show you. Stay tuned. There it is, a thing of beauty. It smells so delicious in my house. You've got to try this.